That climate change
I am honored, yet it grieves me sorely to find my brothers quarreling like a pack of hyenas. I am a hunter of animals, not a politician. But my good friends reign all in heaven here tell me that there is not one among you who can bring peace to the nation.
We need a strong leader. You can bring the people together.
Only God has the power to bend the will of stubborn men. My way is the way of the righteous. If I am leader, all will follow the Lord obediently.
What would you do about the Tower of Shinar?
Build it! Build it! Build it! Build it!
God told Noah to disperse and fill the earth. We should follow the holy word instead of building walls.
True, but there is more than one way to obey God.
No, it is written.
I believe that every man is free to follow his own path. For myself, I would build the tower to the very gates of heaven, there to be one with God.
Build it! Build it! Build it! I no longer contend for the leadership, and you...
We're here today to show that we stand together united in our commitment to climate justice. We are the majority, and we demand change.
Can it be done?
With a base this wide, the tower would have to be incredibly high.
We must get as close to God as we can. It must rise to the clouds, a gate to heaven.
It could take years.
How many?
Well, that would depend on the number of people hired.
Hired? Renault, we build a gift to God. All will labor for Him.
Without pay?
Of course. Do you approve the magic of our master builder?
Yeah! Citizens of Shinar, have you forgotten the story of the flood? All but Noah and his family perished for their sins against God.
What is our sin? The Lord dwells above. Will our tower not bring us closer to Him, so that we might reach out and touch the hand of God at the end of our time?
Yeah! It is written, God can only be approached in spirit, through faith and obedience.
Work! We will work our way to God. If you build this tower, I promise you long hours, hard toil, and personal sacrifice. Who will build this tower to God?
We will! We will! We will!
I warn you, this is an abomination. Remember God's covenant with Noah.
But the Lord promised there would be no more floods. And if He changes His mind, we won't need an ark. Who will build this mighty tower to God?
We will! We will! We will! We will!
What do we want? Climate justice! What do we want? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! What do we want? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! What do we want? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! What do we want? Now!
As keeper of the peace, I bring you an order from the Council of Elders and... chief elder. All citizens are ordered to report for work at the construction site of the new tower. You will work 1 day a week for the glory of God and our great city, Shinar! It is further decreed that all citizens will give up their knives, spearheads, axes, and anything of metal to be converted into tools for building the tower. No one may bear arms except those approved by the council. Brothers, I warn you in the name of the council, all will be punished. Do not cooperate. Take that man away.
2017's intense hurricane season has emboldened some climate activists. In a recent piece for The Outline, a writer called Bryant Merchant asserted that, quote, climate change denial should be a crime, meaning people who disagree with me should be punished. Meanwhile, in The Nation, a writer called Mark Hertzgaard said that what he calls climate denial should be punished as, quote, premeditated murder. Whoa. What does an actual scientist think about this notion? A death penalty fence disagreeing with climate advocates. Judith Curry is a climatologist. She's the former chair of the School of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences at Georgia Tech. She's an actual authority on this subject, and she joins us tonight. Judith Curry, thanks a lot for coming on tonight. Do you think that people who raise questions about climate change should be prosecuted for premeditated murder?
Well, of course not. I think it's a rather ludicrous proposal. I hope that nobody's taking it seriously. Climate change is a very complex issue, and I'm concerned that we've oversimplified both the problem and its solution. And we need to have a wide-ranging debate about all this, and people trying to stifle it are shortchanging science, the policy process, and our democracy.
But why would we have a debate on something that's absolutely settled, about which we know everything? Isn't a debate just allowing industry to destroy the earth for profit?
We understand some basic things, like we know that the climate has been warming. We know that humans have been emitting carbon dioxide. We know that carbon dioxide warms the planet. However, there's widespread disagreement on how much of the recent warming is caused by humans, how much climate will change in the 21st century. Is warming bad or not? And what, if anything, can we do about it? All of those issues are topics of intense debate, very complex topics.
What do you mean, is warming bad? We know that it's, and I think I'm quoting Al Gore and Leonardo DiCaprio here when I say, it's an existential threat to the planet, Judith Curry. How could you even raise the question, is it bad? What do you mean by that?
Well, I don't think anybody thinks it's an existential threat to the planet who is seriously looking at this problem from an academic perspective. Climate has always changed. Whether warming is intrinsically good or bad, I mean, that's a value judgment. So there's a lot of uncertainty about what might happen, what are the impacts, and whether they're bad or good. Whether they're bad or good is fundamentally a value judgment, and some regions might benefit and some might be harmed. I mean, that's just part of the way weather and climate works.
Are you surprised to learn that Al Gore studied theology and not climatology in college?
No.
And with that, Dr. Judith Curry, it is always great to see you. I hope you'll come back anytime. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Father, please. Please come with us.
I want nothing to do with your offense against God.
I offend you more than I do God. Must I follow your wishes all my life? I have the right to choose another way.
You choose the way of disobedience and wickedness.
That tower is a gift to God!
World leaders are going to be gathered here in New York City for the United Nations Climate Action Summit. The eyes of the world will be on them. They have a chance to prove that they, too, are united behind the science. They have a chance to take leadership, to prove they actually hear us. Do you think they hear us? We will make them hear us. We have not taken to the streets, sacrificing our education for the adults and politicians to take selfies with us and tell us that they really, really admire what we do. We are doing this to wake the leaders up. We are doing this to get them to act. We deserve a safe future. And we demand a safe future. Is that really too much to ask? We are not just some young people skipping school or some adults who are not going to work. We are a wave of change. Together and united, we are unstoppable. We will rise to the challenge. We will hold those who are the most responsible for this crisis accountable, and we will make the world leaders act. We can and we will. And if you belong to that small group of people who feel threatened by us, then we have some very bad news for you. Because this is only the beginning.
It is a gift to your vanity. When will you have time to think about God, much less pray to him? Every hour we spent piling brick upon brick.
I am only asking him to honor me by being there.
I was taught a child should honor his father.
But what will I tell him?
Tell him that I intend to raise the people against him.
Father, if you do that, he will have you arrested.
Arrested? For speaking freely? Is that not still our right?
Facebook taking steps to enforce its hate speech policies, now permanently banning controversial figures and some organizations. Among the high-profile voices that the social media giant considers, quote, dangerous? Here we go. Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan, InfoWars host Alex Jones, and conservative writer Milo Yiannopoulos. The company's CEO Mark Zuckerberg saying the ban also extends to other platforms, including Instagram. So, Emily, what strikes me here is, I think lots of people wonder, is this in defiance of your First Amendment rights? Or is it the case that since Facebook's not the government, a private business, they have the right to stand up and say, hey, you know what, you've incited violence and whatever our standards are, you violated them and you're gone?
They are a private company. They are not a government entity, which means that, yes, they can set their own censoring rules and policies by which they can abide. I think this is a total farce. I think this is an exercise by Facebook and Zuckerberg to make us think that they care and that they're virtuous and that they're concerned or whatever. And really, it's distracting us from the reality that they are, and it is, a platform that amplifies violence. And I think it's impossible to reconcile how all of a sudden they feel responsible for this content by right-wingers and, you know, one on the left or whatever, and all of a sudden they're shutting it down when they have refused every step of the way to take responsibility for their platform that live streams gang rapes and suicides and terrorist recruitment and show up in court constantly as, oh, no, we're not responsible for the content and here's why, we have nothing novel. And all of a sudden they care about this. So if I was one of the attorneys that has brought a negligence lawsuit against them or a representative that is drafting questions for the congressional inquiry, I would ask how all of a sudden they feel responsible for this content and not their content as a platform as a whole.
You know, in fact, Jesse, lots of people, I was surprised in looking at the poll numbers, people think, you know what, Facebook and these other social media sites, they just foment hate and they are not to be trusted. It's kind of shocking. Emily's onto something. A lot of people have just lost faith in them.
Well, if you don't like someone on Facebook, don't follow them. It's not that hard to figure out. And I think you're right. I think this was a PR move to say we got it under control. But there's also guys on CNN that spend their whole day calling Facebook and saying, can you ban this person? Can you please ban this person? It's pretty pathetic if you work for a media company and you're supposed to be all about free speech to spend your whole day on the phone trying to shut other people's free speech down.
Tell me that story. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I mean, there's correspondents on multiple networks that call social media companies and try to get other people thrown off.
You know why?
That's what. I know why it's political, but that's not the point. My thing is this. I think they shouldn't ban anybody. I think they should have Farrakhan. I think they should have everybody. More freedom is better than less freedom. Unless they're actually inciting violence, I think Facebook, private company, knock them out. But once we get into nitpicking who we're going to kick off, I think it's a slippery slope.
I saw the other day that the New Zealand shooters' horrific slaughter is still on some sites, that you can still get up there and see it. And to me, this then contributes to radicalization of some people who, like this guy who just shot the synagogue up outside of San Diego, and who cited it. And so I do think it makes a difference if our social media perpetrates hate speech, allows groups to form that, you know, like ISIS and the like, who have radical extremist ideology. I don't think it's good. What do you think?
Well, I do believe that this is nothing more than a virtue signal. That's all it is. And I would be a hypocrite if I condemned Facebook for this, because I always say that social media, it would be good to be thrown off social media. Get it out of my life. I hate it. But it does seem like they're more easily inclined to police one side of the nutcases and not the others. And I noticed on other media arenas, they were portraying Farrakhan as far right.
Washington Post.
Yeah, which I believe in the media's world, there's no such thing as far left, because they're within that world and they don't believe there's a far left. Everything that's unusual or extremist is far right. But I have to say this, you got to beware. It's really cool to be labeled dangerous. And if somebody banned me and said because I was dangerous, I mean, rock and roll was called dangerous. So they got to be careful. Like, a lot of times people get attention by being banned.
This might help Alex Jones.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
But I mean, Facebook, they banned extremists. The Dems, just elect them.
By the way, you know,
we'll be right back.
By the way, I think if you look at Booker T. Washington, Marcus Garvey, I think Farrakhan's in that tradition. It's interesting to have a conversation
He hates
at some
Jews.
point. Yeah, oh no, he's definitely anti-Semitic. That's what I would. That's not the issue. The issue was whether or not these news organizations had said he's a conservative right winger. Whether they were wrong, that was more.
They issued a correction.
Well, yeah, but I just think, you know what? Look back. Look at him in terms of Black American life and thought. He's a conservative on so many issues. He's an anti-Semite. That's why.
Well, he doesn't like gays.
I say he's anti-Semitic. That's the bigger point. What he says about Jewish people.
Not make trouble.
You have made your choice. I will follow God.
My message is that we'll be watching you. This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you? For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away and come here saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight? You say you hear us and that you understand the urgency. But no matter how sad and angry I am, I do not want to believe that. Because if you really understood the situation and still kept on failing to act, then you would be evil, and that I refuse to believe. And you are still not mature enough to tell it like it is. You are failing us. But the young people are starting to understand your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon you. And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you.
There, we've begun. This shall be the first, and with it, we begin our journey toward the heavens. Your father is not here.
He does not share our vision.
All must share our vision. It cannot be otherwise.
All citizens will volunteer to work 3 days each week for the glory of Shinar.
That is too much.
All children over 10 will work 2 days.
No, they're just children.
Prisoners wait to be sentenced, Lord.
For what crime?
Failure to report for work.
Did I not promise that those who worked would be rewarded, and those who did not would be punished? 20 lashes.
No. You must allow them to explain. The council has never meted out punishment without a fair hearing.
Except for you, all members of the council are busy at work building the tower.
This man is my friend. He took leave of work to pray for his dying wife.
Let him pray on days he does not work.
You do not reflect the mercy and the justice of the God you claim to love.
Justice is not important. Those who do not sacrifice willingly to our cause will suffer the consequences.
You cannot enslave the people. They will rise against you.
Go back to your tablets. Be grateful that your son is my friend.
You must listen to reason and stop what you're doing. This tower you build is an affront to God.
Out of the way, old man. We do the work of the law.
You do the work of the wicked and shall be punished. People of Shinar, listen.
Did God save Noah from among all mankind? Only for us to reject his teaching? Disperse and multiply. Settle all the earth.
I will not tolerate your meddling any longer.
I speak for those in the council against you.
And who speaks for me? I do!
And I!
And I!
We have embarked on a great journey together. Shall we let frightened old men stand in our way?
No! No!
Let us end all division. And with your approval, I hereby dissolve the council. And from now on, I will reign alone.
Together and united, we are unstoppable. We will rise to the challenge. We will hold those who are the most responsible for this crisis accountable, and we will make the world leaders act. We can and we will.
When politicians send their thoughts and prayers with no action, we say no more. We can and we will change the world.
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.